It's my pleasure to welcome to the Scarlet Faithful podcast 2022 Big Ten Medal of Honor Award winner, Gio Baker for Rutgers University. Gio, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm excited.
Obviously, congratulations on a tremendous men's basketball career for Rutgers. Wanted to get to that, but first, just wanted to talk to you about your latest venture, owning the Knight Society, the launch you've had recently. And for those of part of this, I want to get out the word and have people understand what you're doing. So we kind of start with a brief explainer of what the Knight Society is all about.
Yeah, so Knight Society is something that I came up with Eric LeGrand. Obviously another huge face in the Rutgers community. Basically, we just have two goals. The first is to unite and support the Rutgers community in a new, unique way. And the second one is to provide NIL opportunities for Rutgers student athletes for as long as we're around. And how we're kind of going about that is with the NFT project. NFT can sound super scary to a lot of people. I think that, it's something that's not really mainstream yet and it's unknown. So, kind of what we've been doing right now is just explaining, all the membership benefits of what Knight Society can bring. So exclusive access to athletes, networking opportunities with each other, like-minded individuals who all are supporting, student athletes as well. And the last thing is local discounts with bars and restaurants who we partner up with. And we're using NFT technology because we really think that Rutgers has a ton of pride, right? So we want the Rutgers community to be as strong as possible. And when you look at Web3 and athletics and how they intersect right now, with Web 2, with the internet, it's all about viewership, right? You're watching, but you're always at an arm's length away. You're always at a distance from your favorite athlete, from your favorite influencer, whatever it is. What Web 3 does is kind of make it so now instead of being a watcher, you're actually a participator. You're engaged. You're not just looking at these athletes from afar, but you're actually interacting with them, networking with them, being with them, participating, engaging. We see NFT technology as a way to kind of bridge all of this together and make it so people really get a chance to, feel like they're actually a part of their favorite athlete's journey instead of just watching their favorite athlete's journey. And we're going to try to make it as simple as possible. You'll be able to buy a membership with a debit card, a credit card, USD, no crypto involved. We haven't really put a ton of this information out just because, we want to make sure that we get things right first before we put anything out. We want to, we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. We always want it to be the other way around. So you're actually the first person that I'm kind of like going in depth and detail of what it is exactly we're trying to do. But, ultimately the goals are what we've been saying they are, which is to, make a stronger community and support the athletes.
You obviously, have been a huge face in name, image, and likeness, becoming a reality in the NCAA. Now I feel like, this kind of perspective with Web3 technology, you're kind of leading that front too, in terms of, I think there's kind of a misunderstanding from some people of what NIL would do for respective teams or universities. And you've always obviously focused on the student athlete experience. Now that you're talking about fans experiencing the journey of student athletes, can you kind of give an example of what an NFT, for those that might not fully understand what it is, or kind of an example of what you're looking to do with that technology?
Yeah, so I'll just use what we're doing as an example to kind of like bring it back to Knight Society. So the NFT, you really just think of it as a digital membership pass. So you'll have a digital wallet where the NFT is stored, basically just to prove that you are a member of the Knight Society. So it's just your proof that you are a member. This membership pass will be able to get you into our specific events. It'll be able to get you into exclusive websites. It'll be able to get you certain discounts. So basically it's just that proof of concept that it's there, that it's yours, that you own it. And then with Knight Society, so why that helps with athletes is, okay, now athletes know who is their biggest fan, who is their biggest supporter, who is engaged. We can then keep track of, all right, who used this NFT to be at this event, who used it to maybe buy some merch. So then we can actually go in and we can reward the people who were the most engaged, who were the most interactive, who was the biggest Rutgers supporter, who was, you know what I mean? Just, again, like rewarding the people who are the biggest fans, who are the biggest supporters. And and athletes get a chance to interact with their biggest supporters. Now you get a chance to, if I'm me and I want to drop some merchandise, I get to actually interact with the fans and hear what they want. Like, what type of t-shirt do you want? What type of hoodie? What is the best experience? So you want to watch a game with me? What is the best thing that we could do together so that we both win from it? And I think that's like the coolest thing about Web3 technology and what we're trying to do at Night Society.
I liked how you kind of started that already when you did the jersey giveaway to, and I know Dave White's son, Ben, won the jersey. He's been a fan of yours for a long time. I know Dave was super psyched about that. And you went and played a little one-on-one with him.
Yeah, I did. I got to play one-on-one with them. That wasn't expected. I didn't know we were going to play one-on-one. But that was a crazy moment, honestly. That was really cool. And, I've seen them through the years as well. So like, I know that they're huge fans, but, again, that goes back to what we're trying to create, though. It's just like, those personal relationships. Like, I got a chance to talk to them for, like a good, like solid 30 or 40 minutes, got to hang out, play one-on-one with their kids. And, that was awesome. Like, I love that. And I know other Rutgers athletes love that too. And, that's kind of what we're trying to create, is that environment where, it's just a stronger community and everyone is working together.
So wanted to jump off on that point. How close are you to launching anything in terms of NIL deals with student athletes? Have you had any conversations with any current Rutgers student athletes, and where are you in that process also in terms of like talking to coaches at Rutgers? How has that gone so far?
Yeah, it's been amazing. We're definitely getting really close. We plan to officially launch the project late August, early September. So right before the first football game for sure. Also plan on having our first event around that same time. We've been having conversations about that as well. I've been talking to a ton of different local businesses and companies about how they can be involved. So, if any, local businesses are listening right now, feel free to email us for sure. In terms of talking with coaches, we've been really careful just to make sure that we're not breaking any rules. It's definitely something that we're looking out for, because I know right now the school can't really be involved with NIL conversations. So everything that we do, we make sure to check with compliance first, just to make sure. But, all those conversations have been going on, behind the scenes. And again, this goes back to, we haven't really put out a ton of stuff just because we want to make sure everything's solidified, and we want to make sure that we do it right. And we want it to be, whatever we put out, we want it to be very special. So we're trying to just make sure that we solidify everything before we actually put something out. But all those conversations have been going really well. Looking at late August, maybe even earlier. And this week, actually, we're, doing a ton of stuff. So we should have a lot of stuff coming out in the next couple of weeks that, just makes everything more tangible and real.
I'm sure the basketball team is probably bugging you with hitting you up, trying to be first on that list.
Yeah, I'm probably bugging them more than they're bugging me. I talked to all those guys. We still all play pickup together. So like, I was just with all of them the other day. Ron was just around too. So he just got back from summer league. So he was playing pickup with us as well. So, obviously really close with all those guys still. And, I'm just excited to try to help them as best I can. And, they're excited to be a part of what we're doing.
I think another part of this that you've talked about that I haven't heard as much from other people is, the educational side of it for student athletes, the business opportunities that come with this, not in terms of just, an initial payment, but, kind of a learning curve for the business world outside of sports, once their careers are done, and opportunities in terms of getting into or building relationships with companies now that could benefit them in the future.
Yeah, financial literacy is super important. Not just for, and it's crazy, it's not just for student athletes. Like, I think a lot of college students have no idea about taxes, have no idea about, how should I invest or what should I do with my money? And like a huge part of what we want to do is we're going to roll out financial literacy courses for all of our athletes and all of our members. So if you buy membership to be in the Night Society, like, you're going to get access to some of these courses just for being a member. So that's going to be a great thing, not just for the athletes, but for everybody, and another way for everyone to kind of just, learn something new. And I've been taking my fair share, because I always talk about it, but I won't act like I'm a financial literacy expert. Like, I'm in the same boat as everyone else. I just realized that I'm in the same boat. So I'm out here trying to learn too. And, we've been having conversations with several different companies about, how can we partner with them, so that they can roll out some financial literacy courses for us, for our athletes. And that's going to be another thing that we should be putting out pretty soon. So really excited to, kind of solidify that and just help athletes. Like, even for me, I went to one seminar from this company, and I learned so much that like I just had no idea, you know, just about, you know, starting your own business, and you know, how can you you know, save on taxes and stuff like that, that just like I just really didn't know. And I think a lot of athletes don't know about it. So, you know, really excited to, you know, try to help on that front and just being very personable about it. I think there are courses out right now, but it's like you have to read through it, and it's just all right in your face. And, you know, obviously because of COVID, people want to talk to other people. They want to interact with people. They want to hear it from, you know, somebody's voice. They don't want to read it on a screen. So that's something that we want to focus on too.
That's pretty cool. Talking about Eric LeGrand, your relationship with him, how did this all come about in terms of this partnership and launching Night Society, and how long have you kind of been friends and discussed this possibility?
Yeah, so I mean, number one, Eric is just an inspiration to all Rutgers athletes. I think that's just a great way to start. You know, all the adversity that he's faced, you know, throughout his life is something that, you know, not a lot of people can probably make it through. And, you know, what he does is amazing every single day, you know, like just everything. Like it really makes me just like, I can't ever feel down about myself ever, you know, because I just look at him and all the stuff that he does, and he does it with a smile on his face every single day. So I look up to him as just a man in general. He was one of the first people to give me an NIL deal with LeGrand Coffee House. So that's kind of how our relationship like really started. You know, and obviously I was promoting that, and I love the idea of what they were doing, you know, just trying to bring people together with a cup of coffee. Again, you have to think about the COVID year where no one was interacting, and, you know, their branding and message of, yeah, you know, sit down and have a cup of coffee with somebody else, you know, with LeGrand Coffee. I thought that was just really nice. And like, again, goes back to, you know, building a strong community, which is our same type of idea at Night Society. How we came up with the idea for Night Society was kind of funny. I was dabbling in NFTs, and I kind of fell down the rabbit hole there. And, you know, I was really just trying to think of like how I could, you know, use this kind of new passion for myself. Right. Cause I'm thinking NIL at the time. This is while I'm in college, and I'm, you know, just trying to see like, oh, maybe I can do some sort of like GeoBaker NFT where everyone, you know, whoever, maybe 100 of them, whoever's in there, like they get exclusive access to me, you know, the Rutgers team, you know, being in the locker room, stuff like that. And then I was like, nah, it's too small. You know, maybe I can do something with, you know, Eric LeGrand, Todd Frazier, you know, maybe Carly Lloyd, Mosanu, whatever athletes are out there. And then, you know, we could, you know, do something with all of us where it's like, okay, you know, you get something from like each different sport. And then I thought even bigger, and I was like, you know, we could bring this to, you know, the college athletes where, you know, yeah, we could be the ones to promote it, but the real money goes to the, you know, these athletes who deserve it in college. You know, and then we kept tweaking it a little bit, and I kind of brought him my ideas, and he hit me back so fast, and I was so excited that he kind of saw the vision too. And he was like, yeah, this is a great idea to kind of bring everyone together and, you know, simultaneously support all the college athletes who, you know, deserve it. Like they really do. They deserve it. And here we are now. You know, that was a while ago. That was in like December probably when we started thinking of it. Maybe even earlier. And then, you know, obviously we put it on hold because I was in season, and I told him that, you know, I'm obviously going to focus on my season first. But here we are now. We have our own LLC, and, you know, we're in business meetings every day trying to figure out how to do it. And it's just really cool the way it kind of all came together.
Yeah, that's a great story for Rutgers fans. Obviously, two of the bigger names in recent memory, and I think it's obviously you know, for student athletes too, to be able to look up to both of you guys and be able to work with you in this capacity is a really special opportunity for them. And in terms of, I know he's got a few projects going on. Are you working with him and involved with him in other projects too? I know he's got a whiskey coming out. I wasn't sure what else you're doing with him.
I'm not involved with that.
Okay.
You know, LeGrand Coffee House, obviously I was, you know, supporting them with the NIL deals. Obviously going to support him with LeGrand whiskey as well. We always joke about it, how he's, you know, he's going to get you in the morning, get you at the night, which is just hilarious to me. But yeah, he's doing a great job with all that. And honestly, even though I'm not involved, it's like, you know, now that we're friends, I get to see close up, you know, how everything operates. And, you know, obviously, yeah, this is a type of space that I want to be in. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to create things. I want to create communities. You know, I want to bring value to people. And he's done such a great job at that. I really think like LeGrand Coffee House is such a great place for everyone just to go and meet up and enjoy, you know, just enjoy time together. You know, and that's like what I love. Like I love trying to find ways to do the same thing. So just watching them up close, even though I'm not technically involved, has been really good for me overall, just to grow.
You know, there's nothing wrong with an Irish coffee in the middle of the day. So you got them morning, middle of the day, and at night. So, you know, I saw a tweet that you had recently, obviously with the news, the Big Ten expansion, UCLA, USC, you know, so West Coast, obviously travel is going to be really interesting to see how the Big Ten schedule is moving forward. Not even just, you know, basketball and football, but the Olympic sports. I know that you were pretty vocal already about, you know, how is that going to impact the student athlete experience, missing classes more so. You know, just wanted to ask your kind of thoughts on that, and if you've had any involvement or conversations with people about that.
Yeah, I mean, so like, I think number one, like, I think it's great. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing that this is happening. You know, but when you put it in a student athlete's perspective, right, where you break it down to a student athlete, you know, then you got to kind of start being more realistic. Okay, is this really like an amateur? Is this really, you know, these kids are going to be flying from New Jersey to California, back to New Jersey. You know, that's a pro schedule. You know what I mean? I don't think like you can really argue that at this point. Maybe there's like a little bit of like of wiggle room before, but this is like this is going to be like a super conference, right? Where you're just on two different coasts, which again is super cool. Like I wish I could have been able to go to UCLA and USC. Like that's awesome. You know, but not every single athlete is going to go pro after their sport, right? And for those who aren't, like school is super important. Like that matters. Like that's going to be your career if you don't go pro. So if we're messing up that school part of a student athlete's adventure or whatever, you know, student athlete's time, you know, they should be compensated for missing whatever that is, you know, for not being able to complete that school part of the student athlete lifestyle. So, you know, that's just kind of how I look at it. I've never been like a huge, oh, all athletes need to be employees. I've never been like that. I've always thought NIL made sense because like, how can you just tell someone they can't own their own name? It just doesn't add up in my head. I think making students employees is super complicated. You're gonna have to decide who gets what money goes where. It's gonna be really, really complicated. But you know, all the moves that the NCAA is making, it doesn't, like, you can't really argue it at this point. So that's kind of all. That's just my opinion on it. I haven't really honestly talked about this with too many people. You know, other than Twitter, where I just kind of go on my little rants every now and then. But that's just my perspective on it. I think that, you know, by the time these super conferences are formed, you know, there's going to be the problem is there's going to be a ton of athletes who are going to be saying the same thing I'm saying. So, okay, how am I going from New Jersey to California and I'm not getting paid? And then, you know, as we saw with non-NCAA property, once a group of athletes figures out that they can kind of band together, it's going to get passed like pretty quickly. I think once they kind of realize the type of power that they have, and they should, you know, I would do the same thing if I was going from New Jersey to California. Like, there's no way I shouldn't be getting paid for that. You know, so that's kind of where I see it heading for sure.
And just in terms of your inspiration for the Knight Society, you know, I talked to Coach Peichel recently, and you know, we were talking about how far Rutgers athletics as a whole has come from when he started to now. Obviously, you know, and he actually brought you up as, you know, you were here from the beginning too. You remember where Rutgers was in the Big Ten, really across the board, and the progress that the department has made. Yeah. How much of that was an inspiration for you to want to now be a part of helping further it, not just on the basketball court, but overall with the Knight Society?
So much. I mean, I'm sure, like, as a reporter, I'm sure that you've seen, you know, the passion that I've shown for Rutgers and, you know, that Block R, and, you know, like, just truly became my second home. I don't even really go home anymore. I'm always in Jersey now. You know, so that just kind of shows like the love that, you know, Rutgers showed me. And, you know, and at the beginning, again, like this, we were terrible. Like, we weren't good, but, you know, there were still so many faithful fans out there supporting us. You know, thinking back to freshman year, we beat Seton Hall, or we went on that little run in Madison Square Garden. Like, there was so much hype around it and so much buzz, and we weren't even good yet. We weren't even there yet. You know, so it goes back to like that pride. Like, there's so much Rutgers pride. There's so much Jersey pride. And I fell in love with it. Like, I really did. You know, like I truly loved like being able to talk to people after the games. I loved when, you know, I'd be able to talk to people on the street. Sometimes people would just like shove a phone in my face and it would be their dad on FaceTime or something like that. And I'll just be talking to the dad, like, oh, like, how's it going? Like, yeah, nice to meet you. You know, just different stuff like that. And you know, I just think there's a way to amplify it. Like, I think that Night Society is the way to amplify all of that. And we need to. Like, the other thing is like I want to do it. And the other thing is we need to do it. Like, I want to see Rutgers succeed, but to compete with Ohio State, Michigan State, Illinois, you know, all these schools, even Nebraska is going to get crazy NIL money just because it's the only thing over there. Like, there's nothing else for them to root for. You know, we need something in place where, you know, maybe it's not, you know, millions and millions of dollars, but like, you know, as a Rutgers student athlete, when you come here, you're going to have Night Society, you're going to have a full community backing you, and you're going to be able to interact with all these different people who already want to see you win. And that's our main goal, is to make sure that we have something in place so that, you know, Rutgers can continue to rise to the top. Like, I want to see Rutgers win a national championship. I wasn't able to do it, but that was my goal, and it's still my goal. Like, I want to see the guys after me be able to do that, and I want to help as much as I can to equip them to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a great point too. I think people maybe misrepresent the fact that Rutgers is close to New York City and that that's going to be a boon for NIL, where I agree with you. Like, a place like Nebraska, you're the only show in town, and the opportunities, I think, are even greater there. And where New York City, you know, I mean, if you the way NIL started, and, you know, you had the twin basketball players, women basketball players from Fresno State, had a billboard on day one. I mean, you know, it has nothing to do with being close to New York City geographically.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think that's where you got to, like, come in and be kind of creative with it, and, you know, kind of show them the value of, you know, backing a hometown team, and, you know, show them the value of, you know, what these athletes can bring to your business or to your company or whatever it may be. And that's where we're going to come in. We're going to try to be real creative. And I think it really just starts with community. Like, I don't know if you saw my Twitter rants at one point when I was putting out, like, what's the best Rutgers bar in New York City? And nobody could answer it. Like, there wasn't an answer. Like, and that's like, okay, that's like step number one. Like, we immediately need to fix that. Like, there immediately needs to be a spot in New York City where it's like, okay, it's game day. I can't make it over to you know, to Shai Stadium, or I can't make it over to the RAC or Jersey Mike's Arena. You know, where do I go? Where do I go? And you know, we need to have that solidified spot where, you know, you're going to go there and there's going to be other Rutgers people there interacting with you. So, like, that's one of our goals too, is like, okay, let's find that spot in New York City where everyone can meet up. Let's find that spot in Hoboken or Jersey City, or, you know, wherever, down the shore, where, like, you know, okay, yeah, this is where we're going to go for game day. And then the people see that, like, people see, oh, this is, like, there's a ton of Rutgers people. Like, let's look at Rutgers for student athletes, because we see that this pride, we see that it's organized, we see that these people want to support their team. And so that's like another creative way to go about it, is like, I think it all starts with just organizing the community.
Yeah, I love that. I work in New York City, and it's always driven me crazy that, you know, there's ACC bars, there's, you know, Florida bar, there's a, you know, SEC schools have bars in New York City. So I really love that part of it too. So I have you here. I can't not talk to you about hoops. And you touched on a couple of key games, but I wanted to, if you didn't mind, go back through your career, some key games, and just ask kind of maybe even your thoughts on them, or maybe a moment that happened in the huddle that fans, you know, don't know about, that would be cool to know. I first wanted to start with MSG, you know, that run your freshman year, and you had that breakout game against Purdue. But that Indiana game, I mean, I was there, and I remember I wrote about this recently, but, you know, when you were down 24-8, you know, and Indiana fans are celebrating. I mean, literally, I look at that moment as when things completely changed. The first kind of step. What do you remember about that week in MSG? And just, you know, was there anything, you know, maybe Pikel said in the huddle that moment, or, you know, that you remember that kind of sparked things?
I mean, I think, like, for me, it was just kind of where I kind of grew up. You know, I think it's like where I really took like a step up, and just growth, like, mentally. You know, you look back at that whole season, you know, just a Big Ten play, for example, like 3-15 in Big Ten play. You know, obviously super hard. Like, it's really easy to get down on yourself at that point, especially like coming from, like, for me, coming from high school, like, I won my whole high school career. Like, I didn't lose. I wasn't a loser. Like, that's not, like, it's not in my DNA. So, like, going through that was just tough. Like, it was really hard on me. And so being able to kind of get through that whole season, and then, we get to MSG, and basically Pikel's like biggest thing is always just 40 gets you another 40. Like once you're in that tournament style, it's okay. Like you have 40 minutes and that's it. And if you win that 40 minutes, you get a next one. And I think like that year, that whole team like really just bought in, because we were like shit, like we already like lost all of our games. Like who cares? Like let's just go for it. Like, and we had that dog mentality. Like we were like, no, like we don't care who's in front of us. Like we only got 40 minutes. Like let's play our absolute hardest. So that's like really the main thing I remember from that, is just like 40 gets me another 40. Like, let me go out and play my absolute. And this was crazy because I had just came off the flu. So yep. I weighed 160 pounds at the Big Ten tournament. Like I was like, I didn't look healthy. Like I looked sick out there. And like, so I'm guarding like Carson Edwards. I'm guarding, I forget who the Indiana guards were. I'm guarding these like strong, like veteran guards, and I'm like 160, like soaking wet. Like, and, but just that mentality though, like it didn't matter. Like it was just like, no, like we got 40 minutes. Like, let's just give it our all. And that's what, our whole team was like that. I mean, you look at guys like Mike Williams, Deshaun, Corey, guys who just like, yeah, they're just dogs. Like they would go out and play their hardest, and, we would kind of see what would happen at the end. So, that was the type of team that we had. And I thought Pikel just did a great job that specific weekend of just like, just put it all out there. Like you have nothing to lose.
Fast forwarding a little bit to the end of 2020, Maryland at home at Purdue. You had that huge game. Really, like, you've had so many signature games, but that game to me in particular, especially because of what it meant to the program to get that 20th win. Of course, COVID canceled the NCAAs, but that clinched it. And I just remember that moment, how you played, especially Purdue down the stretch there. How was that in the huddle, and how was it the team's mentality, to pull that game out?
Man, I'm getting like goosebumps right now just thinking about it. Honestly, so the Maryland game, that was obviously just super special. Getting a chance to beat them at home. I think they were top 15 or whatever.
They were number nine.
Yeah, top 10. At the time, and it's funny because you look from freshman year to then, like we expected to win the game, like we were like, Maryland, we're not, like, we don't care, like, and it just showed, like, again, shows the growth that we made, all the way from freshman year to then, where it was like, yeah, we're gonna beat Maryland, like we're like, this is our home court, like we're not gonna lose this game. So I remember like the Maryland game is funny because I remember I think they stormed the court, but like it was like regular, like we weren't even like we were excited, of course, but it wasn't the same as like storming the court against Seton Hall freshman year, because we expected to win. Like we weren't like, oh, like we actually did it. Like we can't believe we did it. So that was like, again, like it was like a veteran moment where we're like, yeah, like we're here. Like we expected to win the game. And then the Purdue game, I can't say the same. I can't say the same that we expected to win that game. And I'm gonna tell you why, because Purdue is the absolute hardest place to play in the Big Ten. I love Jersey Mikes. I love Rutgers fans. Like Purdue, something about the building is just different. I don't know how to explain it. The two times we played there before, we lost both games by 30. So like we weren't even close. And then you have to add to that it was senior night, right? So like they don't lose on senior night. They do their senior night celebrations after the game because they expect to win the game. Like that's why they do it. So that game was just like a battle, like back and forth battle. Both teams kind of needed that win to like solidify their spot in the NCAA tournament. They really needed the win. I think they only had like 16 wins. Yeah. And just a back and forth battle. And I just remember like being super locked in, if you look back at the tape, like every single, even though it looks like all isolation plays, like we were make sure to get the mismatch every single time. So like whoever, and I don't mean to call him out, but whoever Sasha Stefanovic was guarding, like I'm pointing, telling the guy to come set a little ghost screen, get the switch, and then I'm backing up and I'm attacking either to drive and dish or to get a little jump shot off or a little floater or whatever it is. So like I think we were just super precise on our offense that time, even though it doesn't look like it's like plays, it really is. It's just, it's just finding that little mismatch and then attacking. So that's what I remember, is just being super locked in on, okay, how can I find the mismatch? You know, who's guarding Ron? Whenever Nogel was guarding me, it was okay, give the ball to Ron. Like, I don't want it, because he's, you know, he's different on defense, right? I don't know if he was defensive player of the year that year, but like, he was different. You know, and then if he's guarding Ron, all right, Gio, you got to go get it. And now what are we running for Gio to get a play, or to, you know, make a play? You know, so that's kind of how, like, and that wasn't even really just the coaches. Like, I was locked in on everything. I'm like, no, this is who he's guarding. Like, you know, just looking back at that, like, that helped us so much. You know, we really needed that little boost of just me being super locked in that moment. And then, you know, when we won the game, that celebration in the locker room, like, is unmatched. Like, it really was. You know, never, like, I would have told you right then and there that we were going to win the national championship. Like, that's like seriously how it felt. You know, like, when we won, we're like, who can beat us? We just beat Purdue on the road. You know, Purdue, like, this place who has destroyed us the past, like, however many times we've been there. You know, and like, that team was just so connected at that point in time. Like, we had our struggles early in the year too. But like, the connection that we had at that point, everyone was no one cared about anything. Like, you know, we had a Quasi, I think he was starting at the time. JY was coming off the bench. He was probably the best sixth man in the country at that point. You know, he came in, obviously played the whole overtime. Like, and he didn't care. Like, he didn't care that he was coming off the bench. Like, that's hard in D1 basketball. It's hard at high major D1 basketball for people not to care about it. Miles, I think, was coming off the bench at the time. Shaq Carter was starting, and, like, you know, no disrespect to Shaq, but Miles was better than Shaq. But Miles didn't care. Like, he was like, yeah, I'll come in and I'll do what I got to do. You know, I averaged, like, 11 points, I think, and Ron averaged like 12. Like, it was super balanced. You know, and that's hard. That's really hard to find in college basketball. And we were just at that point as a team where, like, everything was just clicking, which just made it that much harder, you know, when we couldn't play in the tournament, because, like, I'm telling you, like, we really felt like we were gonna like win it all. Like, that was our mindset. We're like, yo, we're gonna win it all. Like, that's just how we felt. So that was obviously, like, the highest of the high, and then right after, like, the lowest of the low. Like, I've never been in a room where, like, everyone is just crying. Like Coach Peichel was in there just crying, just hugging us, like, yeah, like, it's over. Like, and you know, there was nothing you could do. Like, we did every single thing that was in our control to break the streak of not making the tournament, and we couldn't go. Like, that was just, you know, insane. I know that's, like, kind of going away from your actual question, which is the Purdue game.
No.
But like, that's just, like, that was how quick it was, though. Like, because it was, like, I'm telling you, we were on top of the world. Like, I remember I got a chance to do the interview at Purdue, like, on the court with Big Ten, and it was like, you know, I'm looking around like, damn, like, we just made the tournament. Like, and like, I'm taking it all in, and then, you know, a week later or whatever it is, it's just like, damn, there's no tournament. Like, and it was just a crazy, you know, crazy events. Like, it was wild.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the cruelest ending in Rutgers history. And I mean, really, that year, that team, you know, what the program had been through, you know, over the last 3 decades. I mean, it was one of the just biggest injustices, I think, in honestly college sports history. So but that team, I think, means so much to so many fans. And even though you didn't have the opportunity to play in the postseason, you know, that team forever, I think, will live in people's minds and hearts. And so just segueing into the next year, when you finally do have that opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament, you're playing Clemson. You played obviously a huge role down the stretch, you know, a couple of huge buckets. Ron gets that stop on Amir Sims, which I think is, you know, one of the biggest plays that doesn't get talked about in his career. And Caleb, you know, having that game that he did, you know, what did that mean to you guys, and how important was it just for your legacy and just overall for the program?
It was amazing. You know, everything you dream of, honestly, just to being able to play on that stage. You know, it meant a lot to us because, you know, we kind of started the year saying that we wanted to, you know, make the tournament for the guys who didn't get a chance to go, right? So for Joey, for Quasi, for Shaq Carter, you know, just everyone who didn't get a chance to, you know, experience it. And the year before, that was our goal, was that we want to do this for the seniors, and we want to make sure that they go out with you know, an NCAA tournament under their belt. You know, so to be able to go back and get it done. And we had so much talent on the team. You know, it was obviously super special. And then, you know, the other thing for us too was like, we needed it. Like that season was super hard mentally. You know, it wasn't even like not having fans there was tough. But the other part of it was like you couldn't see anybody after a game, right? Like we beat Michigan State by 30 at home. Like normal college life, like you're gonna go celebrate a win after beating Michigan State, who's ranked at home, who you've never beaten before in your entire, you know, Rutgers life. Like that's never happened. So, you know, that was like really hard for us. Like there was never like a reward for winning. There was never anything coming from it. So it was super hard. And then that was kind of like our reward was like, okay, we made the tournament. We broke the streak. We did this, we did that. We won a game in the tournament. That was like kind of the big reward for, you know, that sacrifice that we made the whole year. Like that, like I don't think we ever had a COVID pause that year, which is like crazy. Like, because COVID was running rampant at the time. Like, and so it showed how locked in we were and like how willing we were to sacrifice, you know, for Rutgers, like what we really wanted to do to see Rutgers succeed and make sure that we got everything done that we needed to. You know, so just being able to do that and, you know, breaking the streak is awesome. Obviously we weren't there, you know, for 30 years, but, you know, for us, you know, just knowing that we were the ones to do it, you know, is something that's super special. And, you know, we just want to, you know, I know Ron, I know JY, everyone wants to see Rutgers continue to do, you know, the same thing, you know, from now on. So, you know, we just feel like we kind of left our mark, left our legacy, and we want to see people continue to do it.
And last one for you in terms of going back to games was this past year, that you know, record-breaking 4-game streak. Yeah. What was that like for you in terms of, I mean, was that the best basketball in terms of, you know, as a team that you've been on, that 4-game stretch against all ranked foes? And what was it just like with this team, what you had been through, obviously the year before, the 2 years before, but then also, you know, the losses early on this past season, to be able to perform at that level on a national stage and get that national recognition that you guys had worked so hard for.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, what a roller coaster we had this year. Yeah, that was crazy. But the 4 games, you know, we were just locked in. You know, it's like probably not even going to be like a great answer. It's not going to be like a feel good answer, but it's like, you know, we had so many veterans on the team. Like, again, we expected to win those games, right? We went into every game like, you know, we can beat anybody, you know, which sometimes may have been a bad thing, you know, right? Maybe that's why we came out flat a couple of times, and you know, obviously wish could go back and, you know, do a couple of things differently, you know, but you can only control what's in front of you. So you know, we really wanted to take control of those 4 games, and we had everything clicking at the right time. And Paul was doing amazing things with the basketball, you know, against not even against Northwestern and Michigan State, you know, and I was willing to play any role. I didn't care if I had the ball. I didn't care if I was, you know, a 2 guard, you know, whatever. Like, I think my role changed every single year I was at Rutgers. Honestly, I don't think I ever played the same role twice. You know, and you know, obviously at this year, Ron was like our big shot. Like, he was our big shot maker, right? Like, that was his role, and that was great. So I think like in those 4 games, like we really kind of all realized each other's roles, and, you know, everyone kind of played a part, and you know, we just expected to win. Like that was like, yeah, we weren't scared of anybody. You know, we saw, you know, the ranked numbers, and we were like, man, we should be ranked. Like, we don't care. So, you know, that's kind of all it really was. I think we're just clicking, we were focused, and at the end of the day, we knew we needed to win, right? Because we lost to Lafayette, we lost to UMass, right? Like, we lost to DePaul. So it was like, okay, if we don't win these, like we're not getting in. You know, and that was like the reality, and we all knew it, and we looked it in the face, and we're like, okay, we're gonna win. We need to win. So that's kind of where our mentality was at, and you know, we had great conversations. You know, we had great leadership. Paul, Caleb, Ron, like myself, we're all veterans. We're all in the locker room talking, making sure that everyone understands like what's at stake. Like, if we lose this game, we don't get in. You know, and that's kind of how we just approached every single game from then on.
So last question for you. I actually asked Michael about this week, about how important, you know, building a program, obviously improving talent, depth, but just the belief in one another. You know, he obviously got some heat early on in the season when he called it his best team ever. To his credit, he always stood by that. And you guys always believed in each other. You know, I think one of the defining things of your legacy and Ron is, you know, whenever your backs were against the wall, you guys performed at your best.
Yeah.
How important is that belief, you know, that Pikel brings down to you guys that you have in one another? And how do you think that's going to carry on now with guys like Cliff and Paul and Caleb with this year's team, you know, the season ahead?
Yeah, it's so important. I think that like it goes into building that culture, right? Because you know you need to believe in each other to get to a point that you haven't gotten to before. And like the first thing that Coach Pikel like ever said to me, like when he was recruiting me, was like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make the tournament. You know, you're gonna go down in history. Your team's gonna go down in history. You're gonna be the first ones to, you know, bring it back to Rutgers. And obviously me, I'm eating it all up. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, I am. Like, let's do it. You know, and then you look at the outside perspective and like, it wasn't like that. Like everyone is like, oh, who the hell is Geo Baker from New Hampshire? Who was Coach Michael bringing in? You can't turn around Rutgers. Rutgers is a dumpster fire. You know, and you hear all that and you're just locked in on this one goal. Like, nah, like we're gonna do this. We're gonna bring this to life. And then, you know, for me, like I don't like think I'm LeBron James on the court, right? But I think I'm a great like recruiter, right? Like I'm in Montez Mathis' DMs, I'm in Ron's DMs, I'm in Miles' DMs. Like, look, when you get here, like we're not gonna lose, like we're gonna win. Like this is what we're gonna do, right? So I'm now saying the same message that Coach Pikel is saying, and it kind of emphasizes it, right? Like whatever he's telling them, I'm saying the same exact thing. Like, look, I came here for a reason. Like I want to be the one to turn this around. Like, are you gonna do that with me? Right. And I'm like, if you don't want to, then don't come here. Like, because this is what we're going to do. And I think that was like our constant message was like, so it just automatically puts in your head, as soon as you commit to Rutgers, you're agreeing to believe in the vision. You're agreeing to believe in, you know, that we're going to make tournaments. We're going to, you know, make a Final Four. We're going to do this. And obviously we didn't check off every single thing, but, you know, we made steps in that direction. And that's the same thing that, you know, now they're telling Paul and they're telling Caleb and they're telling Mawat and Dean is like, okay, you know, these guys laid out the foundation. Like, how do you bring it to the next level? How do you make sure that, you know, we do make a national championship? How do you make sure that we do make a Final Four? And that's just the first step. Like you're not gonna make the national championship if you don't believe you're gonna make the NCAA tournament, right? It doesn't work like that. You know, so that belief is just so important, and it goes into the culture. Once he's saying it to me and I'm saying it to Ron, now Ron's saying it to Caleb and Caleb saying it to Dean Reber, and you know, it just continues on. And now it's not only a belief, it's the standard. Like now it's like, okay, now we need, like, this is what we do. And Pikel just does a great job of just like laying that out and making it a reality. Like I think that was like the biggest thing is like, okay, yeah, he said all that stuff, but you know, most stuff he said, like we did, like we did exactly what he said we were gonna do. You know, and it all started with literally just believing in it.
And you just made me think of one last point I wanted to ask you on. Derek Simpson takes over number 0. Yeah. I think it maybe surprised some people. I wanted to ask, you know, were you asked for your blessing on that? And is that kind of part of the continuation now of, you know, the culture and, you know, him kind of not necessarily taking obviously the same role, but, you know, wearing that 0 with pride and, you know, being kind of part of now the future of the program?
I mean, I love it. I you know, that's the first thing is like, I mean, I think Derek's going to be so good. You know, really hard worker. I got a chance to meet his dad. You know, so like just love them as a family, as a kid. Like I really, you know, just respect what he's trying to do. I didn't know at first he was going to wear 0. I knew before it was like announced and stuff like that. But I got a phone call like from the coaches and they were like, hey, like, is it okay if Derek wears 0? And I was just like, yeah, like, why would I like, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it differently than like some fans, but like, I don't have that type of ego where it's like, no, like no one can wear my number. Like number one, I don't have that authority. That's not on me. That's not on me to decide that. You know, if anyone, I was willing to give, funny story, this is completely irrelevant, but yeah. When Mac McClung was visiting, he was number 0 as well. And I was literally like, I told him when he committed, I was like, bro, take 0. Like I'm gonna switch numbers. Like, he didn't even ask. I just told him. I was like, bro, like, take it. Like, I don't care. You know, that's like the type of guy. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say type of guy, but type of teammate that I am, right? Where I want everyone to be happy so we can win. Like, I don't care about all the little stuff. And then with Derek, it's like, yeah, go wear zero. The only thing I said to the coaches, I was like, number one, like, I don't think this is up to me to decide if someone wears zero. Like, I don't care, right? Like, you guys make that choice. Like, it has nothing to do with me. Like, I'm done playing at Rutgers. Like, if that's the number that he wants to wear, like, obviously let him wear it. And then I just said, just make sure that he hoops. Like, he has to. that's the only request. Is like, if he's gonna wear it, like, just make sure he balls out in that zero. I'm excited to watch, like, to be a Rutgers fan and see someone wearing zero. Like, I honestly hope that he plays 10 times better than me. And I got to say that I got to wear the same number that he wore. Like, that's kind of how I look at it, is like, so I didn't really I didn't love that people were kind of like hating on it, when they first announced, like, oh, like, why is someone other than Gio wearing zero? I'd rather see it as like an honor, like, kind of like, oh, like he's wearing the same number that Gio wore. Like, you gotta have like, I'm not trying to like talk like I'm cocky, but like, you gotta have some balls to do that. Like, that's like you gotta come in and hoop. So, I'm excited because I think that shows like his confidence too. Like, because he's seeing the same stuff I'm seeing. He's seeing people hating on it, right? But like, he doesn't care. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm wearing zero. Like, yeah, I like that. It's like kind of like competitive. Like, yeah, I'm the one wearing zero. So I'm excited for it. I think it's great. And I'm excited to watch him play and wear that number. Like, I think that's really cool.
Gio Baker, thank you so much for your time. It's actually your birthday today. So on behalf of Rutgers Nation, happy birthday. Appreciate all your time. Best of luck with Knight Society. I love what you're doing with Eric, and just obviously, your career. Thank you so much for all you've done for Rutgers basketball.
Thanks so much for having me. Like, I really appreciate it a lot. And, obviously excited to continue to build with Knight Society and, try to help Rutgers as much as I can off the court.
All right. Thanks, Gio. Best of luck in the future. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.